lies beyond these dark clouds? Space? We know that. But what about a heaven? And under the earth? A hell? And what about the mysteries that happen on our planet? From the depths of time come stories of disappearances from the Bermuda Triangle, UFO sightings, and missing people mysteries such as the Mary Celeste and ghosts. Are we being watched and kidnapped by aliens? Or is it just people's imagination? Or is it something else? And indeed time itself is a mystery. And so to another tale out of time.
Your classification number. Find it!
Which liquid do you require? This is Jaunt service to Whitehead City, Mars. All ticketed passengers should now be in the Blue Concourse Sleep Lounge. Make sure your validation papers are in order. Thank you.
We know the jaunt was invented in 1987 by Victor Carew. He did it as part of a private research project. It was funded by government money, and of course, in the end, the government took it over. We don't know the exact date that it was invented, because he'd been experimenting with it for some time before he revealed to the government what he had. Of course you know that the jaunt is really teleportation, no more or less. It was Carew himself who named it the jaunt. He was a keen science fiction reader, you see, and there's a story by a bloke named Alfred Bester. The Star's My Destination, it's called, and in it, this bloke Bester invented the word jaunting to mean teleportation. Of course, in his book, you could jaunt just by thinking about it. But we can't really do that. I guess you could say that the jaunt came along just at the last moment. The world was running out of oil, and what little was left, the Middle Eastern desert peoples were committed to using as a political weapon. They'd formed an oil cartel called OPEC.
What's a cartel?
Well, a monopoly.
Like a club, honey, and you can only be in that club if you have lots of oil.
Oh.
I don't have time to tell you the whole mess, but let me tell you, it was a mess. If you had a car, you could only use it 2 days a week. and petrol costs £3 a gallon.
Car. And it costs 5p a gallon now, doesn't it, Dad?
That's right, Rick. And that's why we're going where we're going. There's enough oil on Mars to last another 20,000 years, and enough on Venus to last another 100,000. But that's not our main reason for going. What we need most of all now is
water!
That's right, because between the years 1960 and 2030, we almost destroyed the ozone layer. This caused the ice caps of the planet to start to melt. Of course, the big businesses of the world who've had shares in world water had started to do chemical experiments on the ice caps, trying to get them to stay frozen. Now it's all right because they're all frozen. But, of course, most of the water on this planet has been poisoned. Of course, the first water lift from the Martian ice caps was called
Operation Storm!
That's right, Dickie. 2045 or thereabouts. Of course, the jaunt was being used long before that to find sources of clean water on this planet. Now, water is our major Martian export. The oil's strictly a sideline. Of course, those things were always there, but we were only able to get at them because of the jaunt. For Karoon, it started with a pencil, some keys, a wristwatch, and then some mice. The mice showed him there was a problem.
It was not like an electric shock. There was none of that unpleasant tingle you get if you grasp a frayed lamp cord, for instance. It was more like the sensation you can get if you put your hand on the casing of some small machine that is working very hard. The vibration is so fast and light that it is literally a tingling sensation.
It works! Do you hear me well? It works! And I did it!
The keys went through next. He simply tossed them into the portal and hurried over to the other portal. He saw that the grooves in the keys appeared to be the same, and to make certain, he started to try them in the locks that they fitted. After he was certain that they had gone through all right, he tested his watch calculator. With this, he would have a rough idea how long the process actually took. It still worked and took hardly any time at all.
What happened with the mice, Dad?
Well, at first there was a slight problem. So far, all the things Karoon had tried were never living.
You stay there, please.
With the mice, they seemed to sense something. Those that emerged alive from the other portal lasted only a few seconds, collapsed, and then died. He took one to a vet friend of his the next morning and had it examined, but there was nothing wrong when he dissected it, only the painful fact that it had died.
Enough with the white. Mice die. They die if you put them through all the way. They die if you put them through halfway head first. Put them through halfway bottom first, they stay frisky. What the hell is in there? Sensory input. Maybe when they go through they see something, touch something, hear something. God, maybe even smell something that literally kills them. What?
Where should I start with people, Dad? Tell that part. I want to know what happened to the mice.
The first human jaunters had not been test pilots or astronauts. In fact, they were convict volunteers who had never been screened with any particular interest in their psychological stability. In fact, in the opinion of the scientists involved, the freakier they were, the better. Surely if a nut survived it, it was safe for the executives, politicians and fashion models of this world. Anyway, they came out all right, but only when they were drugged and asleep. That way they couldn't see what was inside the jaunt. The first man tested went through at 0.0000000000067 of a second, as was tested by the computer, and seemed to grow 100 years older. Although his face had not changed physically, it gave the impression of great, almost incredible age.
What happened?
It's eternity in there.
He dropped dead with what was diagnosed as a massive heart attack.
Are you ready?
No, I don't think I'll do it.
You got to take the gas, sir.
I don't think I need it at all.
You can't jaunt without the gas, sir.
You haven't got any power over me at all.
Daddy, what happened to the mice?
No, I can't tell them that. I can't tell them about Mrs. Michelson when her husband tied her up and pushed her into the portal, setting the option to nil jaunt, so that each of the hundreds of thousands of possible portals from which she might have emerged were erased, cancelled, and that she was floating forever somewhere out in the ozone. And of course Michelson couldn't be tried for murder, because there was no body. And I can't tell them about the other groups, like the Mafia, disposing of people either, using nil jaunt.
And Patty, even now no one knows what happened to the mice, but it did lead to the conclusion that while the jaunt is almost instantaneous physically, it takes a long time mentally.
I don't get it. I knew I wouldn't. It's not just teleportation, is it? It's some kind of time warp.
It's eternity in there.
In a way, but that's just a comic book phrase, Rick. It sounds good, but it doesn't really mean anything.
He understands, but he doesn't understand.
Ricky?
Are you ready?
Daddy, I'm scared. Will it hurt?
No, honey, of course it won't hurt.
Look, we'll go first, and then you can see how easy it is.
The most earth-shattering invention ever. The remnant ended all concepts of transport, the borders and frontiers of time and space.
Make it crazy.
After all, the flesh, all seems like inanimate objects, nothing that's living.
I don't want to! I'm afraid!
You're afraid to dive into the plasma pool, aren't you?
When you went through, something went wrong.
Don't be afraid!
No. Be afraid. Be afraid.
Don't be afraid!
Be very afraid.
Human teleportation, molecular decimation, breakdown, and reformation is inherently purging. It makes a man a king. You're afraid to be destroyed and recreated, aren't you?
What's happening to me? Am I dying?
You're going to like it.
I don't want to! I'm afraid!
Don't be afraid. A deep, penetrating dive into the plasma pool.
Jaunt! No, Jaunt! Held my breath when I came to the back. What did you see? I saw!